Hello, Gemini. Welcome to your June tarot reading with me, JJ. Thank you so much for all your patience. Thank you for all your understanding. Thank you for not hating on me for being incredibly late with this reading and for leaving you last. Someone's got to go last, unfortunately, and this time it had to be you. So Gemini, I hope everyone's been doing well, and I hope that you had a good May. This time around, my meditation wasn't very typical. I started to remember a song I hadn't heard in over a year, more even. So it was, well, I didn't want to just ring it up as a coincidence, basically, that the words crept into my mind and the melody is still stuck in my head, and maybe we'll find it to be relevant to your reading. So it's a song by the very famous Johnny Cash. It was popularized by 9 Inch Nails, so maybe that rings a bell to a few of you. Maybe some of you are Johnny Cash fans, maybe others of you are 9 Inch Nails fans. I personally was first introduced to the song through 9 Inch Nails and later found out that it was by Johnny Cash. So both versions are very beautiful. One is slower, acoustic. The other is more, has a bit more oomph to it. So it's a very beautiful song. And maybe I'll read out a couple of the lyrics to you, because maybe there's something there for you guys. I don't know. It's a pretty sad song, though, I must admit. It's a bit of a downer. However, it's awfully honest. It's awfully honest, which is why I love this song, because it really strikes to the core. So basically, I will read a couple of verses. I hurt myself today to see if I still feel. I focus on the pain, the only thing that's real. The needle tears a hole, the old familiar sting. Try to kill it all away, but I remember everything. It feels weird just to read it out loud, so but the chorus is probably what everyone knows the most, and it talks about how he is blaming himself for what he has become out of this pain, basically, and how people never seem to stay. So what's the point? And you can argue that here he's talking about death, how eventually everyone leaves us. We lose people to death one day, eventually. But of course it can be interpreted in other ways, how sometimes we invest a lot in emotions and time, and yet people go away. So he says, what have I become, my sweetest friend? Everyone I know goes away in the end. And you could have it all, my empire of dirt. It's my favorite line. I will let you down. I will make you hurt. So Gemini, to be honest with you, it would have been a lot more appropriate for me to have thought of this song during the Scorpio reading, because Scorpio reading seemed to catch on to that vibe a lot more. Oh, wow, all right. So we have the Page of Cups, the Five of Cups, the High Priestess, and the Four of Wands just popped up now, which is a very interesting combination because on the one hand, there's looking back into the past and not liking what we see, not liking what we remember. And taking responsibility of the fact that we are creators of our universe, of our life. And it is so refreshing to see that people are owning up to their behavior. So Gemini, while some signs this month are struggling to admit the truth to themselves that they may have been responsible for their own mishaps, for any shortcomings that they're experiencing now, for you, you seem to be ahead of the process that way, where it's not easy. Like, no one said that this is easy at all, and especially for a Gemini, well, air signs in general, right? But you seem to be doing this well. So you may be looking back into the past, and you are disappointed with what you find when you think back to how you were treated and how, but also how you behaved, perhaps towards someone, or how you conveyed a message in a particular situation. But you realize this, so you're not trying to defend yourself. But this also doesn't mean that you're happy about it either. I mean, a part of you may still be upset about how things went down. But you're learning to trust yourself more now in June. And what is so beautiful is that you don't have a problem walking away from anything that is going to cause you disappointment. In fact, you know now to walk away much earlier on in the process before things get worse. So you will catch your tongue. You will stop yourself from saying or doing something that you could potentially regret. And that could be because whatever we're talking about here with this Five of Cups, looking back at this Page of Cups, who is looking back at the cup that he or she once envisioned life coming out of. You know, when I look at this Page of Cups, sometimes I see a crystal ball. So I treat the cup that she or he, because to me this is a very asexual energy. It's like gender neutral to me. I view the cup as a crystal ball. And basically giving the bearer of the cup the ability to see into their future, but not just see into their future, but manipulate how their future unfolds. And so reflecting back on that, and you think to yourself that things could have turned out differently if only you had said things differently, behaved differently. The High Priestess here in your reading I feel like the High Priestess is verifying this further. Basically, her presence to me says that it's like she's agreeing, you know? It's like she's saying, I've been trying to teach you this lesson for quite a while now, where I've shown up in various forms as an inkling, as a thought, as a feeling, as the hairs being raised behind my neck, behind your neck, sorry. I've appeared in so many ways, and I've tried to get you to notice me because it's not in my nature, like the High Priestess, you know, may be thinking. I like to imagine everyone in the tarot as a real person, just to try and understand how they would actually act out their traits if they were real. So I would imagine that the High Priestess would say that it is not in her nature to make things very clear, that she feeds us parts of a puzzle. She will give us a puzzle piece every now and then and expect us to put the pieces in place and build the story ourselves. She doesn't like to make things very easy. She speaks in a very cryptic language because she wants you to discover things for yourself. She doesn't want to spoon feed you. Again, my problem with articulation this month. She doesn't want to spoon feed you all the details, because where is the benefit in that? You can stand on your own 2 feet. You can think with your own heads. You can feel with your own heart. You don't need anyone at this point in your life to come and tell you if you've done anything wrong or right. You're expected to simply know. So I'm not sure what this is all in relation to. I will leave that up to you, Gemini, to decide if this is about a relationship or if this is about something else. A lot of the readings I've done this month seem to be revolving around love, relationship, and partnerships. So why should yours be any different? And after all, we do have this 4 of Wands here. So this talks about a partnership. This talks about building something valuable with someone, taking the time to actually get to this place with someone and succeeding and feeling happy and prosperous. However, right beneath the 4 of Wands, is this Eight of Cups. And to be quite frank with you, Gemini, the cards that are surrounding the Eight of Cups are giving more emphasis to like some of the perhaps more difficult things that we can talk about. So let me just, ooh. So if this is you and you've decided to walk away from, I just need to bring this back to center because, yeah, it's a bit skewed. So if this is you and you've decided to walk away from this marriage, this long-term partnership, because you and your partner have turned your backs to each other now. This person, this Queen of Cups here, has her back turned against, her back turned to this Eight of Cups here. So both sides are not speaking, not engaging. One side is able to leave behind a lot of that emotion, but the other is not. I gather, from this and from everything that I've said up until this point, that you are the party that is able to leave behind more of this emotion, and your partner may be the one who is struggling. Your partner may be the one who is looking back into your history and is really sorry or annoyed or angry that so much work was put into this relationship and it was so close to turning into a great thing, so close, before you called it quits. You called it quits before you got to this place. Do you see where this Ten of Wands is walking towards? Do you see this house? And all these wands that he's carrying towards this house are wands that he intends on building around the house to make it more of a safe haven, to turn it into a sanctuary, so that he could stop feeling so burdened, stop feeling like he, or she for that matter, doesn't have a home or doesn't have a place that he can call a home. And someone just decided to call it quits before you made it here. Ooh, the lighting is really awkward. So now, inevitably and ultimately, one or both of you feel abandoned, like you have abandoned this relationship. That's it. You've left the ship. Is that even right? And now basically have to work towards your own growth and prosperity. Have to, work towards making your own money. Perhaps being there for the kids, if you have any kids. And just being there for yourself now. And it is a lot to do on your own. But I feel that no doubt you have the resources for this. Like, you are capable. You are capable. Much like this Queen of Pentacles is capable. It's just that you're going from being this Queen of Pentacles. You're going from being this Queen of Pentacles to becoming this Empress. And let me tell you what the difference is between the two. There are two sides to these cards. One can evolve to become the Empress from the Queen of Pentacles, as the Empress is the queen of all queens. So that can be seen in one way, like that trajectory. That's like a natural evolution in a way. If we look at the humanistic perspective of the Empress, and we don't just view her as this major arcana card that is like a goddess or representative of a particular energy, but still more down to earth, more human, and leading all those queens, to their natural evolution, like the end game for them, which is fulfilling their utmost potential as females and being able to bear life on their own. And here's how this becomes a little bit interesting. This is the second side of these two cards, is that the Queen of Pentacles can be seen as married to the King of Pentacles. So they are a couple. They sit side by side. They build everything together, let's say. They have joint income, shared resources, however you want to view it. The Empress, on the other hand, she can be viewed as the Emperor's partner, but she's not his wife. They're not married, but they reign side by side. And she could be the great woman behind the Emperor's decisions. But ultimately, they are both independent people. They are still very much capable of making their own choices. They've got their own strengths. They will heed the advice of each other. But they're not like bound by matrimony or anything like that. Not like the Queen and the King of Pentacles are. So it's a little bit awkward then to think of, this also as an evolution, because to go from being married and on to being single, but a lot more powerful, doesn't really feel like a natural evolution of things, because usually when people get married or when they really seal the deal, like they tie the knot somehow, they usually intend on being together forever. You don't see yourself breaking up with your husband in the future. Like, that's not the point of a marriage. And yet in this case, like, you want to evolve. Basically, you want to evolve together. You want to grow to become a more powerful king, a more powerful queen. But in this case, you become more powerful, you become more independent, but you do this on your own. Like, maybe for some of you, you'll realize you don't need a partner. You don't want a partner. You rushed into it too quickly. Maybe you were young when you got together, and now you've grown apart because you find more differences than similarities in your values. And that can be... It may have been difficult to admit once upon a time, but now has been made a lot easier to do. So yeah, you are able to turn your backs and just move on. But due to perhaps the nature of things, perhaps you can do this more. You can dump those cups. But your partner can't, because maybe your partner could be a water sign who likes to cling on to that emotion and that depth. Or perhaps your partner is actually an earth sign, because if you're coming up in this reading as the Queen of Pentacles, then to me that could also mean that your partner, I would assume, is the King of Pentacles and is an earth sign, so like a Taurus, Virgo, or a Capricorn. But I don't like to put so much weight on the signs, because we all have multiple signs in our chart. But the fact of the matter is that this overwhelming process, which feels devastating at first, is what empowers you to grow and become a lot stronger. Because this Five of Pentacles is walking up to this Queen of Pentacles, and she's got nowhere else to go except to this Empress here, where she will be forced to move on. Because threes represent motion, they represent movement, they represent evolution. So it's a pretty standard, basic reading. Like, there's nothing fancy about this reading, you guys. I hope it made sense, and I hope you enjoyed it. And of course, I look forward to reading your comments and your emails if you would like to share any with me. That concludes your June reading. It concludes all the June readings. So thank you again for your patience and for bearing with me. I will see you guys in July. Bye.